And now it's time for video lesson number 4. 4 lessons in, you guys are doing great. This lesson is on exponents. For this lesson, of course, you need your yellow TOC you were given in class. You need a pencil or pen to take notes. And you always need to have a highlighter, colored pencil, or a marker to be able to highlight those things that we ask you to highlight throughout the lesson. And this is part of your calculator unit, so you can use a calculator, so you may want to have one close by, especially when it comes to the homework quiz. So let's get started with some vocabulary at the top of the page. So just a review of some vocabulary from multiplication. When you have 2 or more numbers being multiplied together, they always form what's called a product. That's the answer to a multiplication problem. And the 2 or more numbers that are being multiplied together, those are called factors. And factors, remember, the numbers that we're multiplying, product is the answer. So when we're talking about exponents, you have a big number and you have a small number. The small number is called the exponent, and it tells how many times the base is being used as a factor or being multiplied together. Go ahead and highlight how many times, because that little tiny number is kind of the boss sitting on the shoulder of the factor saying, hey, I need this many of you, and we're going to multiply that many of you. So think of the exponent's little boss man. So the second term is the base, and that is the big number. So I want you to go ahead and write in your notes, the base is the big number. And then when you're finished with that, write this 8 and the little tiny 4 off to the side. So hopefully you've got that in there. Remember, we said the big number is the base. So in this example, I want you to draw a line and say that 8 is the base, or label it that 8 is the base. The little tiny 4, he's the boss. He's saying, how many 8s am I going to have? It's 8 times 8 times 8 times 8, because there's 4 of them. That does not mean 8 times 4. It means there are 4 8s being multiplied as factors. The numbers expressed using exponents, that means that 8 to the 4th power, those whole thing is called a power. So when you see a number with an exponent, that's called powers. And 2 special cases that you're going to have special vocabulary terms for. One example, and it could be any number, I just pulled out 5. 5 to the 2nd power, that means when you have a little tiny exponent of 2, we learned about these last lesson, those are called being squared. So it's 5 squared. So those are the perfect squares because they form a square by having a length times a width on the sides. If I have a number, any number, in this case 4, to the 3rd power, then we say 4 is cubed. So anything to the 3rd power is cubed. Anything to the 2nd power is squared. And it's cubed when it has a 3rd power because you have the length, the width, and the height. And that's 3 dimensions. So 3 dimensions makes a cube. Go ahead and pause the video if you need more time to get this written in. All right, so we're going to use some pictures because I know some of you don't like numbers and you freak out in math. So let's use a frog. And we're going to use the frog as our base. And the exponent, we need to determine how would I write this using an exponent. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 frogs. So the question is, how many frogs do I have? What's the little boss number, that exponent that tells me how many frogs? 4. I have 4 frogs, so my exponent would be 4. So again, in this case, the base would have been the frog. We will use numbers, not pictures. And the exponent is 4 because it tells how many frogs we had, or the number of frogs that we're going to multiply together. Let's look at another example, because sometimes we have to write it using exponential form, which is what you just saw, and then sometimes they're going to ask you to write it as a product of the same factor, which is a fancy way of saying they want you to expand it and show the multiplication. So in this case, we have a power of a balloon to the 3rd power. So to write it in expanded form, I just simply have to say, how many balloons am I going to have? Highlight your 3. The exponent's going to tell us that there are 3 balloons. So go ahead and draw the expanded form, which is balloon times balloon times balloon, because the exponent tells me I have 3 balloons. All right, at the bottom of your page, I want you to put a big, huge star, exclamation point, circle, something, because this is so, so, so important. Any power with an exponent, little tiny number, of 0 is not 0. The answer equals 1. Any number or any power, which is a number with an exponent, that has an exponent of 0, the answer is always 1. So in this case, if I have 4 to the 0 power, you can write this example in your notes, it equals 1. If I had 1 million to the 0 power, the answer is still 1. If I had 300 billion to 0, it's still 1. Any number with an exponent of 0 gives you an answer of 1. You can try to trick your parents with that. See if they know it. Flip your page over. We're going to look at the back. There is a table that we need to fill out using our understanding of the vocabulary. So in the first example, we have a power that is 8 to the second power, which we know is 8 squared from our last lesson. So in this case, the base, or big number, is 8. The exponent is 2. That's the little boss guy sitting on his shoulder. And if I wanted to write that in expanded form, I would write 8 times 8. The solution, or the answer, is 8 times 8. If you guys can remember, what's the little saying? I ate and I ate and got sick on the floor. 8 times 8 is 64. Yay! Here's a fun one. 1 to the 10th power. The base is 1. The exponent, the boss, is 10, meaning I am going to have 10 ones being multiplied together. So go ahead and write that in expanded form. 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, blah, 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 all the way to 10. And then if I multiply those out, the answer, do not say 10, is 1, because 1 times 1 is 1 times 1 is 1 times 1 is 1. So some kids get confused because they want to say it's 1 times 10. It is 1 times 1 times 1 10 times. So it does not give you an answer anywhere of 10. Look at this next example. It's a little bit different. We have 5 times 5 times 5. But they don't tell me what my power, base, or exponent are. I have to figure it out. Well, what's your number being multiplied? What's your factor? That's your base. So my base is 5. My exponent is how many 5s I have, which is 3. So my power would be 5 to the 3rd power. And now you can use your calculator and go, what is 5 times 5 times 5, which is 125. So look at this one. This one's even different again. I have a base of 7 and an exponent of 5. So I would write my power as 7 times 7 times 7 times 7, meaning I have 7 being multiplied 5 times. My power would be 7 to the 5th power. Use your calculator to do that math, and you end up with 16,807. Holy moly, that's a lot. Last one, go ahead and pause the video and try this one on your own. We've done one like it already. See if you get it right. All right, welcome back. So in this case, our base is 3, and because I have 4 3's, my exponent is 4. That would make my power 3 to the 4th power. And if I multiply 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, I get 81. All right, let me tell you a little shortcut. If you have calculators like we have in school, there's a little button that says y to the x. That is your exponent button. Shh, it's a secret. For you to use this button, what you have to put in is your base, then push the y to the x button on your calculator, and then key in your exponent, and then your equal sign. So with 3 to the 4th power, the last example we did, you would type in 3, y to the x button, 4 equals, ding, 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 you should get 81. All right, looking at the bottom, sometimes they're going to give you an exponent thing in words. What? So let's see if we can figure these out. 4 to the 10th power would be 4 with an exponent of 10, because 4 is going to have an exponent when it says 10th power. That little 10th power is a little tiny exponent. 12 squared, 12 is our base, squared means I have a little tiny 2. 6 to the 4th power means my base is 6, and 4th power means my exponent is 4. Pause the video and see if you can fill in the last two by yourself. Welcome back. Hopefully you did pause the video and you're not cheating. 11 cubed, 11 is my base. Cubed is one of those fancy words we learned about on the front of your page. Cubed means has an exponent of 3. Last one, 2 to the 8th power means I have a base of 2 and an exponent of 8. Look at the bottom, make sure you understand the difference between the base and the exponent, because I guarantee it will be on your homework quiz and on your exponent quiz coming up soon. And now it's time to show what you know. Log in to OneNote if you're not already there, and either click the link to go to the homework quiz or scan the QR code and show us what you have learned today.